This is a test. I don't know if this test is working at all, although it appears it is working because I can see the YouTube stream has begun. Of course, one noteworthy thing is this. If you create a stream on Restream, I'm going to say this again because I'm recording now. I just hit record. One very noteworthy fact is when you create a stream on Restream, and even on StreamYard, it's good to check. When I first checked YouTube, it showed me if this stream existed, but this question was not answered. If I don't hit yes or no to this question, but especially if I don't hit no, people cannot leave comments. People cannot participate in the chat. So it's important to check that. So I just went to the YouTube dashboard and then clicked on my own live stream to confirm that. But now we got that going. Whoops, wrong camera. And so now I'm going to check if the Rumble stream is operational. And it looks like I do have a stream on Rumble. I'm not currently playing it. Oh, yeah, I got sound. I can hear myself. You can't hear me, but I can hear myself. And the latency is not bad. Quality, I was told, might be a little bit but it's not terrible. There's two factors about quality when, doing this sort of thing. One, I disabled the DVR function. Well, apparently it re-enabled the DVR function, so that might explain why the quality is crap. Okay, because, yeah, in setting up this stream, I distinctly remember hitting a button that said, like, it said, basically it said, do direct streaming. Here we go, look, it says higher quality streaming. Source pass through, less latency, no DVR. So, this should remove the DVR function. I shouldn't be able to rewind my own video right now. I don't think I should. But, whatever, no big deal. I'm just pointing it out because I think it's worth pointing out, trying to understand this myself. Now, what I just did was I refreshed the page because I want to be able to check on the chat window. So I put it into a pop-out window. And I'm going to just put this tab elsewhere. I probably won't need it, but I need to keep the tab open, presumably, so that I can see the pop-out chat. So we got that. And speaking of chat, let's go over to YouTube. I have that on my top monitor. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the pop-out chat on my left-hand side. So I got like a chat window on either side of my screen. And that's because I don't know if the Restream chat window actually works. I have no idea if that's going to work. If somebody sends a message, I guess I could send a test message. I didn't want it to look like, test message 1. So I did one there, and now I'm going to do test message 2. So obviously, that means that this chat window here, it says to activate chat, please enable channels here. Okay, so let's see what we got here. What am I enabling? How do I enable it? Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that because it does say the quality was okay. It said fair quality went down to excellent quality. I'm sorry, I gotta switch here, but it told me I have to enable channels. What's this? Okay, so I just clicked on the chat tab up here. Has some settings. Compact mode, show avatars, embed in stream, which we don't need right now, but that's kind of cool, I guess. That could be good to have. I'm giving this a proper test because I intend on making a decision on whether I would even buy this. Wait, what is this? Download what for Windows? Is that just the chat application? Whatever, I'm going to download it anyway. It's good to have, right? Okay, so there we go. But yeah, no idea what it meant. It says to activate chat, please enable channels here. So I click onto the link, and I mean, are these channels? Is this considered a channel? Because let's see here. Restream, please enable channels. How do I enable channels on Restream? Somebody probably read the same message and was like, what? Just like I'm doing now. If you don't have a Restream account, blah, blah, blah. Once you logged in, choose which channels you would like to connect to this event. All right. I mean, so right now, I guess I have to independently monitor both chats, but I suspect there is a method, there is a way to link the chats together. And I would think that it would have to be here, right? I mean, it says enable it here. It's also possible that I have to create a whole new event, but I'm not doing that because I already did that. Essentially, that's what we're looking at here now. So, yeah, I'm at a loss here, like, yeah, how do I use the chat?
At the same time can make you feel like you need a wall of screens to keep track of everything.
6 monitors, 6.
That's funny.
Right here, and I can make a separate window out of calling the app. And then the third option right here is embed in stream, and this is just to put your chat on your screen. I'm gonna show you how to put it on your stream later, as well as going over these are sponsored by Restream. This is
We're gonna figure this out. Internet's being a little sluggish. Could be the internet, could be the fact that I'm running this video encoder.
Studio later, because Restream integrates into OBS Studio, which is extremely helpful. But right here,
Yeah, my computer does not like me right now. It's like, do you really need to be running a video encoder right now, buddy? Yeah, I kind of do. Well, you know what? I'm going to pause this because I don't really need to run it. Get into that topic later.
what do we have? So download for Windows. This will just download the Restream chat application so you can open it on your computer as a separate window. OBS Studio right here. I made an empty and then you can just load.
I don't even need 60. I just do.
Go to
There we go.
to the settings, and then we go to stream. Right here we can select streaming services, then we can select restream.io, but you can't log in right here. The only thing you can do is paste your stream key, but there is another option in Streamlabs. So yes, let's click on done, and on the left you see layout editor. Now right here you can change. Then I can replace this link right here with the link I copied. Other options right.
Yeah, I can't say that's helping me at all because you know, I'm given a chat window here, which I'm assuming you could probably use that internally, right? If you have of the participants in the stream, but it's telling me to enable channels here to activate chat. So I click here, which was there, and I'm here. Been here already. Currently here. I don't think it likes my bitrate right now. It says I'm a little bit above the maximum recommended bitrate. It is operating at 1080p, which I'm surprised about because I thought that I had to pay more to get 60 frames a second at, whoops, sorry about that. Yeah, as I said, I opened it up over here, and yeah, I thought I had to pay more, but anyway, if it says I'm getting 60 frames a second, I might just have to play a game. But yeah, I gotta play with this more because what I'm looking for is not here. And it isn't here. And so I guess I'm just going to have to, you know, keep both chat windows on my screen, which is good I did because as you can see, I can now see a message from the friend of our channel, my dear friend. well, I would say dear friend, friend. See, when someone says dear friend, it sounds like they're faking it. Like, oh, hey, dear friend. But no, jokes aside, my dear friend, Angry Canadian, is currently in the chat. And because I have an ultra wide monitor, I can put the chat window here and I can see it. So that's good. Faker. But yeah, so this is weird, Angry Canadian. I'm testing out Restream because, you know, I have an account. I have like a lower account. I wish I bought the higher account, but I'm not buying it now because, you know, they're not giving me the holiday discount. But if I did decide to upgrade my Restream account, I want to thoroughly test out my current account first. So, of course, I decided this would be the day I would test out Rumble. And that works. That actually works. I have a Rumble video running on, you know, my Rumble channel. My name is DJ Ronnie G on Rumble. You don't have to click on it. I'm just going to put a link in the chat anyway, just in case anybody else sees it there, because I do need more Rumble subs. So, of course, before signing off the internet today, I would consider subscribing to my own channel, because I only have 2 subscribers right now. But yeah, that worked. Quality was a little low. And what was interesting was there's a setting. It tells you, like, if you turn on high quality streaming, because I only have 2 that it won't let you do the rewind. It will disable. Oh wait, it does disable DVR. Oh, look at that. That's interesting. So basically there's a setting and it disables rewinding to the beginning of the stream during the stream itself, because it basically, in order to get higher quality, you sacrifice that feature. And I'll get you the link right now. I'm DJ Ronnie G on Rumble, but I'm gonna, oh cool. And it's like right there, like it's literally just like that, like, you know, so easy to spell, you know, no oddities there. Thank you very much, Angry Canadian. I appreciate your subscription to my Rumble channel. And so if I refresh my screen, it should say I have 3 followers, but I don't. That means one of 2 things. The computer is lying to me, or Angry Canadian is lying to me. I'm going to have to start a board of inquiry. No, I'm kidding. But jokes aside, that's a good idea. I should tweet it out. Well, I'm going to tweet it out after I do some sprucing up, right? You know, I mean, like, I don't have a cool little foreground thingamajig here. Does this chat window still work? Okay, good. I think it does. Good. Because I just closed the Rumble window I was using. I even have my Mario review up there. I did it on both YouTube and Restream. So anyway, let's see. So yeah, anyway, I'm on Restream. It's saying you gotta enable channels in order to use the chat. I'm like, well, I have some channels here. They're toggled on, but there's nothing about linking the chats. So I only have to guess is that it's talking about like an overlay. And speaking of overlay, holy cow, we got some people. Whoops, and I keep not switching monitors. But yeah, so there's a setting somewhere here. So literally when I click on the link on my second monitor to enable channels, as it calls them, this is what I see. And it's like, okay, I got 2 channels. I got Rumble and YouTube basically, you know, enabled. Then we got the chat tab here, but I'm not looking to enable chat overlay. Like, yeah, I guess it wouldn't be so bad to have a chat overlay, but that's not what I'm looking to do right now. Although that is kind of cool. It's got a URL. Huh. I wonder if that links both chats together. Well, bottom line is we definitely see that Steven Ransom and Angry Canadian's messages are not coming up in the unified chat, which means I have to keep 2 windows open. I got to keep this one open in case somebody pops up on Rumble, and this one here. So no big deal. It's just something that's like the only issue I'm having thus far. I know I'm kind of fixating on it, but you know, I want to iron out all of the kinks. So really quickly, I want to say a big hearty greeting to my dear friend, inside joke, my dear friend Steven Ransom. I was saying before to Angry Canadian that when someone says dear friend, that's kind of like a red flag. It's like saying, are you lying? Are you faking this? But anyway, it's good to see you, Steven Ransom. And you know, you can't watch my review until the movie. Well, I got good news for you, Angry Canadian. My movie review does not have any spoilers. It does have some clips from inside the movie theater, but I made a point of scrubbing out clips that show outcomes of major scenes, but I did it because I wanted to showcase my 4DX experience. I had a drink bottle in the cup holder, and as my movie seat was shaking, boom, boom, you could see the water moving around, and I was really excited to, like, you know, demonstrate that. 8-bit leaf. Stop, you 8-bit maple leaf. How is your Halo lore knowledge, Steven? Yeah, how is your Halo lore knowledge, Steven? We should have a competition, and you know what? I would lose because I don't know shit about Halo lore. I do know that the Pillar of Autumn is a cool-ass ship. Oh, and I got great news, by the way. I know I'm really ADDing out here, but now the YouTube messages are popping up on Restream. Kind of. Let's see here. Test. Okay, now it's not working. I mean, it's semi-working. Like, this chat window ain't working. This chat window is deciding to work. I don't know why that works now. Wait. Now it says the chat is ready to display your messages. This must... Oh, I know what happened here. Okay, well, this is good to have. But the question is, does it work on Rumble? It does work on Rumble, does it? No, it did not work on Rumble. Okay. So I'm going to stop spurging out on that, but I would love, even if that worked, if the two chats came together on this window, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care if I could see it on my OBS window. If this window could do it, that would be sufficient. I can, you know, work with that. I can do a lot of things with that. So anyway, we're going to get that off the screen now. And I'm going to show you guys some of my 3D printing models. I think you might like that. But they have a Halo anime. And to answer the question... Steven Ransom says he's played the first and second games, and he saw the anime DVD of stories. What? I did not know this is a thing. We're gonna have to buy this. Yes, I'm gonna go and buy me that right now so that I can have it tonight. Now I would buy it if it was good. Actually, I'm not gonna download it right now because then I have to connect to my dedicated downloading computer. But anyway, one of these stories has some canon-breaking elements. Not the goofy one. This is my favorite part of these shows, DJ, the tech chaos. Oh yeah, speaking of tech chaos. And, you know, so Angry Canadian was saying he was just curious because when season 2 comes around, he might start doing live streams discussing the lore to inform people of how off the show is from the actual lore. That sounds like a great reason to get, you know, knowledge about the lore because, you know, like, I feel like woefully inadequate to judge a lot of things. Rings of Power is a great example, right? And I don't know shit about it. So I started reading Lord of the Rings pretty recently. And I'm doing pretty good there. Like, I understand the story. I like that it has, like, you know, what do you call it? More detail. But no, I mean, I enjoyed... You know, the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings, that book was fantastic to the point that I, of course, went straight into reading The Two Towers. And that is a good story, too. So far, so good. And, of course, I watched Fellowship, the movie, like a week ago at a friend's house. And it was great because, like, I was able to get my own direct comparison, which is just, you know, cool. So... Now, maybe I might decide, I think what I want to do next with Lord of the Rings is read the appendices. Because, I mean, whenever Loki was talking about, like, and his, you know, Loki's Mornings of Mischief, their crew was talking about the movie, the Rings of Power, Loki would just keep bringing up these appendices, and I don't know shit about them. So I want to find out what these appendices are and get them. I did get a book about Middle-earth. I mainly bought it because it had pictures in it, and I figured it's good to get maps. One of the reasons I bought this drawing tablet is so that I can, you know, what do you call it? Trace a map. I want to scan a map of Middle-earth, like a low-quality map, and then trace it in, like, Illustrator. Okay, good. We got the box. We could do a reboxing video after I, you know, read the chat. So let's see here. There's something under my chair. There we go. And Steven Ransom says, good luck, soldier. That might be rough. Watch your edits and clips. You might be able to do the whole thing blue versus red style in the games. Yo, dude, like, I like Red versus Blue, and I also sometimes play Space Engineers, and I think about doing the same thing, except Space Engineers, you can't do a lot of emoting with your characters, but you could do mods. And, you know, Space Engineers is a good all-around time. So, this tablet may have been returned or born defective. And that is where we enter the chaos. Now, this actually looks like a Pro, this is like very similar in design to the Pro version of an old Intuos, a Wacom tablet. Obviously, this is the off-brand knockoff. But right off the bat, you see anything wrong with this? You see anything wrong with that? Oh, what do you see? What do you see there, huh? I see a crooked USB port. It may not look like it's very crooked, but the first giveaway is when I go to plug something into it. In fact, what side is right side up? Okay, good. So that means this shape will go in like that. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend it straight. Yeah, that thing is crooked as F. Okay, it's in. It's in. The computer made the beeping sound. It's in. I just accidentally dragged the chat window a little bit, so that means that mouse is working. Because of course, remember, a lot of these drawing tablets double as mouse pointers, as touchpads, which some people prefer using a touchpad more than a regular mouse. So we're gonna just adjust my focus. This is what Montgomery Scotty. This is what Scotty watches while drinking coffee. Aye, he's a wee lad. He's a wee lad who does artwork. What a fine lassie. So yeah, we downloaded the software. This is a Galmon, right? It says Galmon. I think that's how you pronounce it. Galmon tablet. Obviously a very Chinese name. Hey, at least it's full-blown Chinese as opposed to like made in China. I hate when people be like made in America, or like Apple, designed in California, made in China. It's like they're trying to rub it in that they're cool and hip from California. But they still, you know, have people jumping from buildings. I remember I was bugging the Apple rep for fun. I got along with the guy at Best Buy. And I go, you know, people are jumping out of the building. He's like, hey, but we added nets. And it's true. They added suicide nets to the freaking Foxconn apartment dorm building. Because, you know, of course, it's like basically a building, a dormitory set up next to the factory. It's like a high rise. It's crazy. Anyway, so this is the box. It literally shipped in this box. I don't think it came in a large box. I think this was the box that came in the mail, and that's why there's a shipping label on it, which is fine. It was perfectly sturdy. And I just love the writing on bogus USB logos. That USB is bogus. Oh, yeah, it is. I just read that word semi-backwards. Yeah, that was a little bogus. You know, I mean, I might tolerate it, but I'm going to keep an eye on it in case it necessitates a return or exchange. So I love this box because it says, create par excellence. Battery-free energy conservation, and then it talks about having this leading passive electromagnetic technology, which is really just induction. It's not really anything new. Induction has existed since before Tesla. And I want to say a shout out. I want to say a holla to the lovely Sherry. We are honored with your presence in the chat today, and I mean that because earlier I was calling Angry Canadian dear friend, and then I was kind of thinking about how when you call someone a dear friend, that sometimes it's a red flag, like, you know, they're faking it. But no, jokes aside, it's really good to see it, lovely Sherry. And I'm upset with myself because I think I missed Floral from Under a Rock today. I haven't checked yet since it was like that ship has, you know, gone and sailed. Probably just, I mean, I'm going to definitely watch the replay because, I mean, one, Floral works hard on that and he does a good show. Like, it's always worth your time to watch. I love that Floral is one of those YouTubers like Loki, who will do a 1 hour show. They will do a clean 1 hour show. They will stick to it, probably because they have families or they have lives outside of the internet. But it also works out because, like, as much as I love all of my streaming friends, sometimes it's hard to get wrapped up into a 4 hour stream. Heck, I do it too. Like, I'll run a stream, and then because people are actually in the chat, I'll keep that shit running longer than I planned on, because I'm like, I never have people visiting. But anyway, you say glue a pad to the bottom of the tablet. It sticks out a bit under the port. That's interesting. I didn't really look at that, but I'm gonna look at that now. It's okay, so there are some rubber feet that do separate it from the tabletop, But if it wasn't for those rubber feet, if those rubber stoppers or whatever you want to call them came off the bottom, that would be a problem. But right now, the stock rubber feet, as long as they're flush, will keep the USB port from, you know, rubbing against anything. But I also have it on top of this silicone pad right now. So no issue there. You know, we got it elevated even more because I'm not taking the silicone pad off my desk, but it seems that this sits pretty flatly right now. So I was going to take the pad off. I'm glad I don't have to because I'm using it right now to store batteries. So we got that. We got the box that we've already unpacked for the Galmon tablet. We got the funny writing translation. And I want to say hi to Lemon Pie. Good to see you. I hope you're having a fine Wednesday evening or Thursday morning as it is now. But it says I can create par excellence. So I don't know if they mean that I can create something on par with excellence or if they're just using a French translation to mean like create for excellence. I don't know what that means. But the most important thing is the 8192 levels of pressure sensitivity. My previous tablet, I think, had like 1000. It might have even had like half that, like 512 levels of pressure sensitivity. And this is one of the reasons I chose this, because the alternative brand name would have been the Wacom tablets, one of the Intuos tablets from Wacom. And it would have only supported like, I think, 4,000 levels of sensitivity for like the $60 version. And so I decided, you know, what the hell, I'll try this one out, because I certainly didn't want to buy the $180 version of the Wacom tablet. Now this one resembles a pro version of a older Wacom tablet. Like there was a Wacom tablet that existed a long time ago. I mean, I'm sure they physically still exist, but that they were selling new many years ago, that had this same circle arrangement here. In fact, I think the one at Best Buy didn't even have a button. This one has a button, but then this part is like a click wheel on an iPhone. In fact, it's working on the chat like a scroll wheel. So anyway, you know, I can demonstrate that. Whoops, wait, am I going in the right direction? Right, so I don't know what it's doing. Let me see here. We're going to try something here. All right, I don't know why it's not scrolling up now. Oh, there we are. So one thing about drawing tablets is you can use them to supplement, you know, you could use them to supplement like this, you supplement your normal input devices. So some people might prefer a touchpad mouse, and maybe having a touchpad mouse that's the size of their screen would be fine. Now, this doesn't seem to work in that capacity, but some of the Wacom tablets were sold in order to provide that capability. Of course, we have the pen. Now, when you put the pen on screen, it does make the mouse pointer float, but because I have 3 monitors, I have to move my mouse pointer down. Oh my god, that's weird. Oh boy. Okay, that's going to be a problem if this is how this thing works. So one of the many reasons why I misplaced my previous drawing tablet is because of the minor nuances, the annoyances. So for example, I have 3 monitors. I have one above the monitor you're looking at now, and one monitor to the right of the monitor you're currently looking at. So here's the right side, and here's our left side, which we were just looking at, which disappeared. Yeah, that one there. And then the one above, I never share so that I could put sketchy things on there without risking sharing them. I'm kidding, but just because I think it's good to have one private display. So anyway, the problem is when I put my pen on top here, I see my mouse pointer, but it's on my top monitor. So apparently this is covering the main monitor. And then if I want to interact with my other monitors, I have to somehow tell it to do that. And I'm not sure if there's a way, because Windows is a pain in the ass sometimes. So for example, like when you press the identify button down here in the display settings, you get a number in the corner. Well, I can't make monitor number 2 number 1. I've tried swapping the ports and it didn't seem to help. So fine, if monitor number 1 wants to be number 2, as long as I can tell Windows it's my primary monitor, which I did. I said make it my primary. I don't care what number it gets. But now I'm even more confused because the graphics tablet is defaulting to monitor number 3, which makes less sense. Like if it was going to default to your primary monitor, it should either go to the one that's been labeled as such, or at least number 1, which would still be annoying. So, yeah, let's see if we can figure this out here. This is the settings. These are the settings. And workspace, maybe. Oh, it sees my 3 monitors. All right. And apparently I can... Oh, there we go. All right. I don't know why there's a 0 degrees listed there, but I just selected my main monitor. And even better, I think I can even tell it to use a narrower space. So I can literally shrink it like this. And then essentially we would only do that if we wanted to, for example, zooming in. So this is like my monitor right here. So what I usually do is I usually take a window like the one you're looking at now, and I'll make it like fit just right in the center like that. So even though, you know, reason I do that is because if I maximize it, now the edges of it are going to be on our left and right. So we can't have that. So, you know, we do it like this, and then I can zoom in on it, and I can share the center of my screen where it's nice and legible, and then I can zoom out anytime it's convenient. For example, right here, you can see my hand and the tablet as well as the screen. So, you know, both modes have their uses. So anyway, circling back, as our presidential news reader would say, we got this and that. Yeah, so we got this, and basically I can actually line up the orange here with that edge of my screen, which is really cool. Actually, that comes in really handy. So maybe what I would do is I want to refresh this. That's even better. Whoops, actually it's not better. That's better. So if I cycle back and forth, there we go. So now I can see where the browser window ends, and I can actually I don't know if I can zoom in on this, but that's pretty much adequate. That will suffice. There we go. So I don't know if that's actually helpful for what I'm trying to do, but I'm going to give it a shot like that, because I don't think the aspect ratio of this tablet, this is 16 by 10. A normal monitor is 16 by 9. And my monitor, the one you're looking at now, is 21 by 9. So yeah, and just to, you know, give a little love to the chat. Yeah, you're correct, Stephen. Stephen Rasm pointed out, or at least suggested, he said, check the settings. I think you can map the tablet. And yeah, that is confirmed. You are correct. So now we're going to get this. So there we go. So basically, you're not even touching the tablet. You're just floating over it. You could touch it. I don't know what happens if I touch it. Let's see. There we go. If you touch it, that happens. Now, I believe these tablets have palm detection on them. So what that means is that when you put your hand down on it to draw, it's going to be sensitive to the pen, but not to your hand. Now, can it be sensitive to your hand? There might be a mode where it is sensitive to your hand, but it's not doing it right now, which is all the better, because I don't really feel like, you know, wearing the glove. In fact, I don't have a glove yet. That's coming in the mail tomorrow. And that's one solution. People will wear a glove that covers the right side of their palm and their pinky finger at least, because otherwise things might start moving around. So now we can get to testing the tablet, but let's take a look here. We got some buttons here, which apparently represent different, you know, features, different keys on the keyboard. So if I was editing video, some of these might be useful. What we will do is we're going to open up Photoshop. Oh, look, it's my buddy Puffy, my turtle. And we're going to create a new layer. And we're going to zoom in a little bit for a second, because I want to get these panels here. I should definitely save the workspaces. So in Photoshop, you can usually save your workspaces. And what I'll usually do is I'll make this one larger so I can see my way around. And then I'll take the remaining ones and I'll just kind of put them off to the side like that. The layers are like really important. The layers are like the most important feature in Photoshop, in my opinion. So we got our layers tab there. And so now with this one here, we're going to create a new layer. And we're going to just do some drawing on here, I guess, just to see what happens. Now, like some of the keys are already mapped, right? We know, for example, from the top, we got E, B, control plus and minus. So I think these are going to be like control plus, control minus a zoom. I'm curious what these square brackets are going to do in Photoshop. I actually don't know. So if I do a square bracket, it doesn't seem to change anything, which is fine, but I have certain keys mapped in editing software. But if we do B for brush, we get a paintbrush. Now, how could I have used the tablet in this? Well, I already cut the t-shirt on the left. You can see on the left side, I cut the edge of this Mario poster to conform with my t-shirt. You can see right there. But what if I wanted to separate myself from the background? How would I do that? Well, we could do that right now if we want. So if I zoom out, we're going to go here. And we're going to switch to the pen tool, which is the letter P. And normally I would click here with my mouse like this. I would zoom in real close. And I would just make these anchor points, they're called. At least I think they're called anchor points. If I mess up, I press escape and control Z. And I would do a new anchor point. Just like we're doing now. So we could do them closer together. And this is all fine and dandy, but this can get very tedious very quickly on a touchpad mouse or a trackball, actually. It might be easier to do it on a more conventional mouse. But this time we're going to do something even more radical. Okay, so I think right off the bat, I'm happy with getting a larger tablet. Because with my previous tablet, the big problem I had was that this was just way too small compared to my screen, and so it was very hard to get that mapping, you know, to get it to map to your display the way you would expect it to. Whereas this one, it's like, okay, this is a little bit more one-to-one. I mean, it's not really one-to-one, but how do we do that? Okay, well, I just did it. I just tapped down with the pen, and nothing happened now. Why doesn't anything happen? Well, maybe I'm supposed to press a button. Whoa, 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 whoa. That was not expected. That was cool, but that was not expected. It just drew like 10 gazillion anchor points. Let's zoom in a little bit more. I love my turtle. Look at Puffy. Isn't she cute? Or doesn't she have like a funny face? It's okay. You can make fun of Puffy. Okay, so now I'm just kind of winging it. When you say lag, is it pen lag or stream lag? Well, I'll tell you what. Oh, that lag. Yeah, I'm sorry. I forget that the humans are a few seconds behind me. That was like lag, but it was a weird way for lag to show itself, you know? In fact, what happened was I did what I just did now, that I pressed the button. And when I oh, wait. Is that what you mean by lag? I know what's happening now. I can tell you exactly what's happening. Okay. So that's interesting. The lag should go away now, right? The lag is gone. But when I go back to Photoshop, that's actually very interesting, Steven. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. So the lag should be gone now. But what's interesting is, I think what caused the lag is something like this in Photoshop. I'm moving around with the pen tool, like we did earlier, right? You know, so just to give you like an example of how someone might use the pen tool. And then we could create a vector mask, and we could manipulate the surroundings. We can delete the surrounding. We can create path, stroke path, make selection of the path. We can say create rasterize here. Okay, so we're going to do create vector mask. Then we're going to say we'll rasterize it just for kicks. Okay, that didn't do what I wanted to do. A little out of use on this. create vector mask. Then we want to do rasterize. No. Yeah, but normally I would do a surrounding, and essentially what would happen is the background would become that white part there that no longer does anything. In this case, we did it in the inverse, so technically, not technically, but one way we could, you know, deal with that would be to make a selection, select inverse, which we'd have to use the marquee tool, so you can press M or tap on the marquee tool. So if we do M, select inverse, and then now it's going to delete everything but that, which, whatever, you know, let's just get back to. Okay, so we're going to delete that layer. We're going to create a new duplicate layer. Whoops. There we go. And we're going to do a little more tweaking here. So let's see if we can get that lag to happen again, because I think it's sort of like when you do certain things in Photoshop, like resizing something, you get lag. But what the hell was happening here that I was getting lag here? So all I did was I created an anchor point. So, okay, I got to press P on the tool, pen tool. That was fucking weird. So I'm tapping now, and it's not doing anything, but still worth a shot. I'm sure gonna be repeating a lot of steps before this is over. I'm curious to see if I can replicate that lag, because if I want to stream a drawing stream or an art stream, I want to see this happening. Now, okay, that just did it itself. It's like recording the moves, and then it's doing them all at once. Okay, wait, I figured something out here. Okay. So what I did was I pressed here. Then to do the second point, okay, so I kind of get it now. It still doesn't seem like ideal, but I get it. Like, what's happening is I'm creating the anchor point when I press on one of the buttons on the pen. Then it sort of like does it. So I press the button, boom. Okay, wait, I think I see what's... Oops. I think I see what's happening here. And I'm waiting for the lag to come back. Okay, now I just tapped on 3-4 points. Boom. I don't know if I can get used to that. That is weird. Like, it's just kind of weird. Like, yeah, that's not what I expected to experience. Well, I mean, keep at it, but it's just weird. I'm gonna get rid of the pen. We're gonna go to a paintbrush. We're gonna shrink the paintbrush so it's not ginormous. Say that should be about right. And we're gonna pick a color that's kind of cool, like a burgundy. And we're gonna see what happens. So this time, whoops, okay, lost it. Okay, we're gonna get lag. Let's see, I'm gonna dance. Waiting for the lag. I'm moving my head to get lag. Okay, well, no lag. No lag, but, yo, it just froze right there. Like, I just tapped. Oh, okay, now the button is stuck. I just moved my mouse pointer, and now it's drawing shit. It looks kind of like balls. But, anyway. Oh my god, that is so fucking weird. I need to disable this NVIDIA thing here. I'm sick and tired of this heads-up display popping up on my screen every time I press Shift, Control, Alt, Escape. Basically, every time I Control, Alt, Z, every time I do Control, Alt, Z in Photoshop, this thing pops up and I just never bothered disabling it, but now is the day I disable it. So apparently Alt Z is what causes it. So apparently if I press Alt Z, well, let's change that to Control Z. Well, let's do like Alt Z A. Alt Z A. Good. So hopefully there's like no other button that does any of that shit. I should probably just disable it altogether. There we go. Whoops. And Angry Canadian, no need to apologize for exiting this stream and coming back. I just appreciate you subscribing to my Rumble channel today. Yeah, right? Okay, you see you too. Thank you, Slim Nim. And nice to meet you. I don't know if I've ever seen you before, but welcome to the channel, welcome to the chat, and I'm pleased to meet you. Yeah, man. So you're still up there, huh, man? Well, you know, just hang in there. Seems like you're up and about enough to be on the chat right now, so that's cool, and I appreciate you dropping in. I hope I can entertain. Hell, if I knew you were still in the hospital, I would have done something else, man, like danced on my desk or something. I mean, God, there's gotta be something entertaining I could do, you know? But anyway, let's see here. So this is where we were at. So I have a drawing tablet. I move my mouse pointer down here. I need to get rid of the pen strokes, which I'm probably doing the wrong way, but we're just gonna, whatever, delete them or something. In fact, I think I could use the arrow tool to delete them. There we go. Okay, good. So we're gonna go back to the paintbrush tool. We're gonna go on a blank layer so that we don't mess up the lower layer, even though I duplicated it. Steven, I meant discussing the real lore of Halo. I don't even want to touch the show. It's, yeah, it is potentially. I haven't really watched. I had a coworker. He said he said it wasn't bad, but I don't think he really is deep into the Halo lore. So I mean, I can see where coming in a vacuum that might be cool. Okay, so normal behavior. You left click on here like this, and you can drag your brush around. Now I lowered the opacity on the brush. That's why it's like that. But now if I do this, I put my pen on top above it. The instant it makes landfall, it makes a dot. But now nothing happens until I press one of the buttons. Which button? I don't know which button. And this might cause some of that lag. Are there any other buttons? No, there's only two buttons on here, basically. The front, it's like a rocker switch. You got, yeah, here we are. We got that button where my thumb is. And the minute I let go. Okay, so we're going to do this. We're going to now. Let's take a look at the settings again. Okay, so we got our drawing tablet. Let's go to the pen settings. Pen pressure sensitivity adjustment. Here, we'll move the window over so we can see my turtle. There's my turtle. I gotta upload another video with her soon. In fact, somebody who saw the Mario review, the spoiler-free Mario review, said they want to see more of the turtle. Ask and you shall receive. Okay, I see how this works. So basically, pressure test is exactly what you see. So if I press lightly, you get a thin line, and the harder you press, up to a point, I think, you know, like, it's not going to make a super beefy line, but there's supposedly 8,000 levels of sensitivity. As an example. So now up here, we have this panel here, and I think what I'm supposed to do is, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. Pressure sensitivity adjustment. Pen pressure output. So I think the position of this graph. Okay, I think I see what's happening here. Actually, no, I don't have any idea what's happening there. I don't know if that's like a demonstration. If that graph is... Okay, so actually we do have a bar on the right side. I'm going to zoom in. Actually, well, I'm reluctant to zoom in, but I think I'm going to do it anyway. Okay. So I zoomed in a little bit because basically what's happening is you're expected to float your mouse over the area up here and the area down here. And when I press down to draw lines, you'll see a little orange bar to the right. And it shows us the levels of sensitivity. So we got, right now we're like apparently at the 50% point. And if we hold it down real softly, we still get some, you know, like line art there. And if I hold it down more forcefully, it seems that this program is set not to give us too big of a line regardless. But it works, right? So we can do like a smiley face. We could draw a turtle. A turtle with absurdly long legs and a small shell. Poor guy. There we go. I don't even know where the head of that turtle is. Here, we'll put an eyeball right here. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm kind of just winging it, but I wish I understood. I mean, I guess I got RTFM, huh? You know what RTFM means? Read the effing manual. Let's read the frickin' manual. Okay, so in this box we have like a case. I think this is literally a storage case for the tablet, so I don't need it right now. But somewhere here there should be a manual. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I lost the manual already. No, I think I seen it. Wait, was there a manual? I'm not even sure if there was a manual in here. How's about that? But there was some nibs, right? You have those little like plastic pieces for the pen tip, because these are actually, the tips of the pen are actually a consumable product. It's actually a, they actually wear out like pencil leads, basically. I mean, I don't think they wear out at such a prodigious rate, but they do wear out. And you know, if anybody gets bored, let me know. I'll show you my 3D printing endeavors recently, because I can do that right now. Oh, and side note, if you leave your pen on top of the tablet like that, you can't move the mouse pointer. So you got to take the pen off the tablet to use your mouse pointer. Just a heads up. I generally will probably unplug it or at least toggle it off when I'm not using it. $5. It sends him to a website, not the manual. But yeah, I mean, I downloaded the driver from the manufacturer, and then I proceeded to download Inkscape, because I figured like Inkscape is a good to have application, because it's like a free alternative to Adobe Illustrator. But I do plan on installing a copy of Adobe Illustrator on this computer, even though I'm not really looking to get into the Creative Cloud at all. But where did I misplace my thing? Oh yeah, maybe it's back here? No, where's my passwords? Yeah, we don't need to put that on screen. Well, let's just click on the download link right there. Let me see, did I download it already? I did not. So we're going to go and do that. And then we're going to go back to the website of the company that makes the tablet. Yes, I mean, I went to their website and I went to the support downloads section, which I would hope would include you know, the manual, and I have a M10K, which apparently they have two models of this, and I'm just gonna click on the M10K 2018. I think I bought the modern version of the M10K. I honestly, oh, here we are, M10K Pro. I think it's the Pro model. I hope it's the Pro model, cause yeah, it's M10K Pro. So hopefully that means it's better than the 2018 model. And so anyway, where's the manual? There it is. All right, good. We have a manual. The only thing better than a manual would be an automatic. Unless you're a race car driver, then you probably hate automatic. No, I do not want to make Edge my default browser. In fact, I don't even want Edge to be my default PDF document viewer. Why the hell is it opening PDF documents? You know why? Because I opened up a zip file. That's why. Really, I'm not even kidding. So what happened was, when you download a zip file in Windows, you can open it up like a folder, like we did here. But apparently, Microsoft, that's funny. They are funny, yo. They make it so that if you open up a PDF document inside a zip file, it automatically opens it up in Edge instead of whatever program you set it up to use. Hold on. Did it hijack my defaults, or do I just use so many different computers every day that I forgot which computer? You know what? I think that's the problem. I literally forgot which computer I'm using. Yeah, you know, it's bound to happen when you have too many computers in your you know, possession. So anyway, let's get right to the manual. We're gonna basically tell Windows, gonna say open with, right? Because we want to open it with a specific program. So we can do open with, and we can pick any program we want, including Chrome. Maybe we want Chrome to open up the document. In fact, I don't even think I have Adobe on here. Yeah, I don't have Adobe on here. And I'm perfectly fine with Google Chrome opening up my PDF documents. See? Was that painful? Okay, so anyway, how does this work? Tablet introduction, accessories, wase, okay. See, I read the manual so efficiently. You can hook it up to a phone. I don't know why you do that, but okay, it's nice for some people. It has that workspace thing that we already resolved earlier, so we already know how that works. In fact, I could shrink the workspace so it doesn't accidentally touch my start menu. Now, I don't know what this degrees. Oh, rotation. Okay, that makes sense if you were in a portrait or landscape orientation. Now, this is the part that I want to know about right here. What is going on here? Select the function to be achieved. No shit. Of course, you got to select something if you want to achieve it. The pressure sensitivity will be changed by dragging the 2 points of pressure. Oh, okay. I think this makes sense now. Upper and lower sensitivity. Okay. That makes sense. That actually makes sense. So it just kind of clicked in my brain just now. But essentially what's happening is when I lost the pen. Here it is. Basically, it's like, you know, you got your bottom and your top. So what I can do is I can make it so that it doesn't even respond unless I put a lot of pressure on it. So right here. Although it looks like it does respond. But the difference is this. Now, if I take the orange dot and I bring the black dot to the bottom, that's going to be maximum sensitivity. So all I got to do is press on it like a little bit. Honestly, I'm not seeing like meaningful results in touching that setting at all. Like theoretically, this should be like set to 100. Like this setting up here should basically mean that touching it softly brings us to like maximum force. So I'm going to just reset it to the default setting because these aren't helping us. Now, oh, here's an interesting part here. I didn't read this before. Down here it says enable Windows Ink, enable nib mouse mode. So mouse mode is probably what I want. I definitely don't want Windows Ink mode for Photoshop. So I think that was what was the problem, or a big part of the problem. So now there we go. So why did it do what it did earlier? Well, if you keep Windows Ink enabled, there's a picture of a pen down here. And I don't know what it wants to install whiteboard. Well, if I knew that whiteboard wasn't installed, I would not have installed it. Oh, well, that's okay. And where's the other thing here? So there's like a Windows Ink toolbar or something like that. You got touch keyboard controllers, we got task view, and sometimes you'll have like a Windows Ink thing here. And I don't think I have mine enabled by default because I had no plans on using Windows Ink. On a tablet convertible laptop, you might use Windows Ink so that you can basically use handwriting. You can literally write letters on your screen, and then it gets translated into typed text like instantly. Now it looks like that's not set up at the moment, or if it is, I don't know what extent. But what I want to do is just do some testing with the handwriting recognition. It's not super important. Now, I don't have the Windows Ink pen with the button in the back, but I have a button on the side of my mouse. And I think a skunk sprayed something outside. Improve how your PC recognizes handwriting. How? Is this going to enable okay, good. Let's see here. Okay. That's the maximum length of that typing I could type there. So now, I misspelled the word this. So let's try it out anyway. Okay, we got our writing area there, right? So I'm going to write like I normally write. Now, I think the best version of handwriting recognition ever was the Palm Pilot. On the Palm OS devices, they had something called Jot. And Jot, which I think eventually got turned into Graffiti and Graffiti 2, had a set alphabet, like very specific shapes. So for example, like on the Palm Pilot, it would actually have a dictionary on the front of the device, and it would show you like a little dot followed by a letter A, like that. And then if you want to write a letter, like I'm trying to think, a letter U, I think you would write it like this, but you could also write it like that, because as long as you started the dot here and drew the letter like that, it would recognize a U. Now, if you want to draw a letter V, you couldn't do it like that because it would come up as a U. So to draw a letter V, you'd start here and you'd go backwards. And so essentially you get a V by drawing from right to left, and then it would pop up with a letter V. Of course, now I don't think I was supposed to. Whoops. Oh, come on. All right, well, let's do this again. We're going to do it one more time. So we're going to do thus is a test. Whatever, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but you got the idea. And then this is going to memorize my inputs. It's saying, write the following phrase in your normal writing style, then press next. And I guess, oh, I see, it's saying, okay, I see what it's saying. So now I got to write down Steve-O down here. So, okay, that's the next line. So, oh, no, even worse. It wants me to type the same thing twice. So I'm not going to do that right now. But the point is, that's how you train it. Now, before we could do that, we need to type. We need like a typing field, right? You could use it for signing documents, but then you wouldn't necessarily need to use Windows Ink, I don't think. But I think it would help. Like, I mean, Adobe, Reader has, that functionality in it somewhere, right? So normally there's like a picture of a keyboard on the bottom of the screen. If I click on the picture of the pen, it just has links to applications. It's not actually showing me anything I want. It says Windows Ink Workspace. Then if I click on pen settings, it brings me here. So, I mean, how do I translate that into typing? Like, you know, I'm in mouse mode right now. And if I go into ink mode, maybe it's already set up. So maybe all I got to do is like write. So if I do... Oh, there we go. Okay. So I pressed one of the buttons on the rocket switch. It opens up this thing here. And so this is where you're riding. Now, one thing whoa, 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 don't go away. Where did you go? Fuck. Pardon my French. I'm sorry. All right, I'm going to hit that button again. Oh, come on. Mother... I lost the Windows Ink workspace. Oh, there it is. Okay, good. So we're going to take this. We're going to drag it up here because I think I like the... Oh, go... Okay, I see what it's doing. Oh, come on. That's not fair. I want that thing on the top of my screen because I actually don't want to have to write on the bottom of this here. I want to, you know, bring this thing up here so I could draw on the top of the tablet. So... Now I get... Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. I was still using that. Sorry. This is why people don't use any of this shit. This is why nobody uses this. Same thing with, like, speech recognition. When was the last time you saw someone use speech recognition for, like, any length of time? Alright. So we're going to do this. We're going to do... this. Okay, that created a P. What? Now, one issue I'm encountering is I keep accidentally pressing the buttons on the pen. So, you know, you can see it leaves a lot to be desired. Now, before I move on from this aspect of my stream, because boy, is that frustrating. I really want to quickly show you what I was talking about when I said, you know, jot handwriting recognition. So, a lot of handheld computers from the turn of the century had this feature called jot. And, basically, it'd be like... Ah, there it is. So this is like... These are examples, and this would be like a reference card that would come with your Palm Pilot back in the day. If you bought a Palm Pilot in the late 90s, early 2000s, you would have this like card, or the graffiti reference card. And basically, you can see like the letter A has a dot followed by a triangle. The letter U is basically a U shape, more or less, even though they have some extra shapes. No, I'm sorry, that's not a U, that's an O. The U looks like a letter U. The U is a dot followed by a U shape. But the V on this version of the recognition is an actual V. Now, I think what happened was, when I got my Palm Pilot when I was like a teen, I had the Palm of 3C, and to draw a V, I had to do it backwards. I had to do a backwards U. They might have upgraded it at some point, because I remember it used to be called Jot. And then at some point they came out with something called Graffiti. And you could download an app for Android that does provide this functionality. And I have it on my Galaxy Note. I just find I don't actually use it. But it was smart because a lot of, you know, characters had a very set, very static expression. Like, there was no other way to do some of these characters. So the idea being that as long as you learn how to do it the way they want you to do it, it will always do it correctly. You'll always get a letter A, you'll always get a letter B if you draw it basically the way they design it. Even if your A looks ugly, you just need to draw that delta shape, and you just need to have the pen start in the corner, and you'll get what you're looking for. You'll get the lettering you're looking for. So actually, that's pretty cool. They have a Kindle that lets you scribe on it now. I personally wanted to get what they call the Remarkable. Like, it's literally called the Remarkable tablet. Like, in fact, let me see. Yeah, and like, this is cool because like you could download it. There's some cloud integration. Now, I don't have anything against the cloud, but I need to have the ability to remove my stuff from the cloud, to download it to my hard drive, to store it somewhere else. I need to have the option to directly download it to a USB cable if, you know, all of the options become unavailable. At one point, I think they like left people high and dry when this was a Kickstarter by taking away some of the like cloud functionality, or telling people they had to pay for a subscription that they didn't have to pay for previously. So that would be my only issue. But this is like the biggest e-ink display I've seen. E-ink displays don't usually get very big. I have a Kindle Oasis tablet, and it's not a very, it's like less than, it's about 7 inches. This is a little bit bigger, and that's like one of the obstacles my friend says, like the reasons he doesn't buy this type of thing, any e-ink e-reader, is because of this small screen. Like if it was larger, he'd go for it, you know, because I mean, textbooks come bigger, and it shouldn't be like a big deal. Like, you know, the textbook industry should be lowering their prices and offering digital copies to their students. You know, but of course, heaven forbid someone doesn't break their back carrying books to school. And you said, I've been wondering why I can't chat at my computer, not tell it punctuation while talking. Where's my e-secretary? I've been wondering why I can't chat at my computer, not tell it punctuation while talking. Where is my e-secretary? Where is that broad? If it's a broad, it could be a dude, I guess, too. So yeah, but anyway, let's move on. We're going to jump into the 3D printing segment of tonight's stream. And we have a couple of things on the drawing board, and a couple of things that may have been completed already, which means I'm going to have to go to the printer and remove a object from the printer bed. If it, you know, oh good, it's still printing. So this right here is really cool. This is part of an Omega class destroyer from Babylon 5, and I downloaded it from thingiverse.com. You got like this page here, 1 meter long Omega class destroyer. And it's in many pieces. The idea being that any one of these individual parts can be printed perfectly. They won't challenge the printer. Because if you were to print, I have a version of this ship where you print the head section separately, but it's still one big part. So you have a lot of overhangs. You have these antennas that don't always come right. So these tend to be like really, you know, tricky to do if they're in one piece. But because this guy broke it down into separate pieces in his model, and he designed it in such a way that you can actually bolt it together. So you got some screws. Now, I don't know if these are nuts and bolts or just screws threading right into the model. Personally, I would prefer to have some nuts and bolts in there. No, the model companies don't have anything, you know, I mean, I'll get to that because, I mean, well, one, if anything, this means more model companies. It means that I could sell this on eBay if I build it. Now, technically, you're not really supposed to sell these models. They are copyrighted to some extent, but, if the, you know, there's usually some wiggle room there. Some people really spit in the eye of the, you know, law on that, and almost all of them seem to get away with it. But like, if you were to start printing 40K miniatures and advertising them as official 40K miniatures, I'm pretty sure Games Workshop would come after you. That's not stopping me from considering doing it. But when my friend first convinced me to get a 3D printer, he was throwing an idea like that at me, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm pretty sure they're going to be strict about that. But anyway, you can see here, like, this part of the strip was printed, like, you know, in segments, and then they were either glued or screwed together. And eventually, like, all of these parts here. Now, once again, like, I've done models where I printed out a small version of this in its entirety, but all these pieces come out way more cleanly and more consistently when you print them out separately on a flat bed. Like, you could print these overhangs from the side. They just don't come out looking as nice. And so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Now, this guy took 280 hours to print it. That's in the instructions that we're pulling up now. The engines are a good example. Like you can see there's a cylinder, there are 2 cylinders that interlock with each other. And in here, I believe the guy includes pictures of that part of his ship. So you got the, rear compartment of the ship. And in all these images, you could see evidence of the FDM printing process. Basically, when you see the layers in between the lines. Okay, that's the middle again. You can see those horizontal lines all through. So you know this was printed from the side, standing on its side. So now let's jump over to something cooler. So bottom line is, yeah, this is one part. The way it's laying flat, you could print it on its side, but it's going to come out inconsistently. You're going to have all kinds of issues with it. The overhangs get a little tricky, but this one's fine. This one's going to come off fine. The only thing is that I may change the material. Right now, this is PLA, which is basically recycled cornstarch, but it's like plastic. I may switch out and use PETG, which is basically the material from a soda bottle. If you look at how rigid the cap on a soda bottle is, or the area where you screw the cap on, that gives you an idea how strong PETG is. The reason I like PETG is because instead of cracking like PLA, which is the material we're looking at now, it tends to give more, it tends to flex. And so, this is PLA right here. And that brings us to our next creation. This here is the Hyperion. This is Yang Wen Lee's flagship from Legend of the Galactic Heroes, the Hyperion. Can you guess what is missing from this model here? Well, basically the antennas, or the antennae. And you can see that this ship has a number of antennae sticking out on the top, the bottom, near the front. And this model only sets out to replicate some of that detail. For the rest of the detail, the guy who uploaded this includes links to Amazon so that you can download, so that you can purchase brass rods of varying sizes. So basically, you take a brass rod, you heat it up, and you stab it into the material, and you now have an antenna. And so that is why this doesn't. So you can see the front of the ship. So right here, this is the front of the ship right here. This is the back of the ship behind a white putty line. And if we switch to the next image, you can see the back there too, right? Very, very similar look. You can see all of that. We have the interlocking sides on the front, which is really cool. On the left side, you got these rectangular cutouts. And on the back of the front, you have these rectangular shapes that interlock so that it basically comes out straight. It's not going to come out too crookedly unless you really mess up. Now, these cylindrical bits on the top didn't come out so well. And you can see that right here. You can see these like cylindrical bits are all messed up. But I'm going to just, clean them up, sand them down best I can. Ultimately, we're going to be shoving some brass rods into the, model anyway once they arrive tomorrow. How much post-processing do I want to do to this model? Well, I'm thinking about ripping the front off and redoing the putty because I don't know if that's the lens. That could be the lens doing it. We could ask the lensman, but I don't know if the front is crooked a little bit or if that's just my eyes playing tricks with me because of the way this camera works. But I'm thinking I don't know. I think it is a little crooked, but it's really hard to tell. Like, really is hard. And yeah, I did print it. Yeah. So that's correct. I did print it vertically. That's a great question, Stephen, because that's actually very, very important because I'll give you an example. So this is a generic battleship from Legend of the Galactic Heroes. And, you got this flap bit hanging on the bottom here. This is actually the bottom top. And that's like right off the bat, it's going to run into some issues. But the other issue is like, well, if you print it sitting down, the entire flat side of the bottom is going to be an overhang. And so to print out an overhang, there's a couple of ways a 3D printer can manage that. You could print supports. These are pretty conventional. These are called concentric supports because they form these concentric shapes. They're very rigid on the vertical axis, but they're also very flexible, and I find them easier to remove. So it usually prints out an X-shaped pattern where the supports meet the model, and then theoretically it's like perforated edges on paper. You could tear off the supports when you're done. In practice, it depends on a few factors. They do make water-soluble supports, but you need to then have 2 nozzles or 2 extruders in your printer that are capable of shoving 2 different types of filament into the same nozzle. It requires retooling, reconfiguration, different firmware, all of that. Now this and this both printed vertically, but with a difference. So on this ship here, I printed it standing straight up, and you can see horizontal imperfections on on many of the layers. This one here, you'll notice some diagonal patterns on it, and some of them are hard to see because I did some funny business on this second one. So on this, basically when this one was printed vertically, this was the bottom. We still have support material wedged between the engines, and to remove most of the support material, I ended up severely damaging the back, which is part of the reason I printed it larger. I printed a second larger one because if you print it larger, you scale up all of the delicate parts and they will hopefully be less delicate. But even on this one, I had major problems. Like this part here was bending like a hinge. In fact, it's doing it now. This actually improved after I put it on the stove, but this part deformed, as you can see here, when I put it on the stove. So mixed blessings, I guess. The back came looking pretty good when I printed it diagonally because the support material came right off. But the back here looked pretty good too once I removed the supports. Now, we got diagonal lines here, and that's because I printed it out standing like this. And so to print it standing like this, you would have some kind of support under it like that. Obviously, it would be more flush, but you would have something like that going on. And the printer had no problem printing it layer by layer. This is a wood PLA filament, meaning it's mixed with wood powder. It's got like a 20-30% wood powder mixed with the PLA. And what's cool about it is when you sand it down a little bit, it starts to look like wood grain. Even though these are just layers from the printing process, that looks quite a bit like wood grain. And sometimes if you buy like a tool, like you get like a hand file or a rasp that doesn't have a handle on it, people will 3D print handles out of wood PLA, and they come out looking pretty good, you know. I mean, they look like an actual wooden handle. So basically, to do this ship, here was some of the challenges. If I printed it, the back section was actually by default, the back half was standing up like that, but this part here doesn't really come out properly when printing it standing up. So first thing I did it when I got to the second half was I printed it in reverse like this, and now, you know, that back part comes out looking much more nicer, right? I mean, that's much more, all of that is workable. We have the engines over there. It all came out better than if we did not take advantage of that. So I'm happy that I did it backwards. Over here, things got a little sketchy on this side, but no big deal. Nothing too big of a deal there. My biggest problem was the back here. So this is the front half of the ship, and you can see things got sketchy. We had a lot of drooping and sagging of the material here. And that's because there wasn't really any supports under the material. If we jump into the software where I'm printing a reprint of that part of the ship, you'll see here that the ship itself is standing on 2 legs. You can see right there, right? It's standing on those 2 legs. And so when we go back here to this view, it's printing out a raft. A raft is basically this round bit on the bottom. In fact, I have it on the new copy of the ship. So this bit here is there to help with adhesion. It helps to overcome issues with the leveling of the bed. And it gives a nice solid foundation for the tree supports, because I find the tree supports are more likely to get messed up if there's any slight alignment issue. So that's why we did that. And that's a great question, Stephen. And I'm going to get to that because you asked, in fact, I'll get to your question right now. Stephen asked, can you slice the model? The center section could be in 4 parts, flat. It's a great idea. It's easier said than done. It's not off the table, but, you know, we talked about that back section. We got these legs over here, right? So, obviously, with no raft, there would be no adhesion, But even with the raft, we still have to print out support material. Now, I normally, when I do tree supports, my supports are completely hollow. Except for like the top of the tree supports. But I was running into weird problems with that because it would get to like this part here. So we got these blue X's, the dark blue. 1, 2, 3, 4 layers thick. 5, 6, 1, 2. So right here we got new layer, and then the beginning of the model, but only on the right side. So this part here is being 100% supported by the support layer. That could be a double-edged sword, because the support material might stick to the bottom more aggressively than I would like it to. But the bottom won't do any drooping or sagging. On the left side here, for some oddball reason, we have like 3 layers. 1, 2, 3. We have 2 layers that don't have anything under them. So that does mean that any drooping that occurs will, you know, still be caught, but... And it might be easy to tear the supports off the back end, but... I'm very paranoid about that. And also, like, just the way this looks, like how... It looks like it's printing 1, 2 layers before it does the first layer. So I'm very confused about that. So normally I have hollow supports. I might have to make these less hollow, but... I mean, less solid, but I did put a zigzag pattern in there, which should still be somewhat easy to tear off, but I'm on the fence about it. I really am, because the more, you know, infill you're putting in the supports, the longer it's going to take to print the whole shebang. But you can see this support here is shaped like a tree trunk. That's basically what a normal tree support would look like. And as it's printing, it's going to, you know, grow these things that support it. Now, like you said, Steven, about cutting it up into quadrants or something. That would definitely help with these pieces up here. Now, this would probably still need some support material, but I think the printer could handle this shape. Some of the supports weren't necessary at all. Like, these were pretty necessary, but then these supports were not particularly necessary. And we can see that because I have the ship, you know, like we had here, right? We got... So we got this overhang here, and I even already removed the supports. In fact, we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove the supports right now so we can see what that's like. So, you know, we just pluck them off. If they come off, great. If not, we got to then be more, you know, ready. We got to have a knife ready for that. You know, you get some separation in the stringing. So I got to say, these are some of the best tree supports I've ever printed. Like, I don't think I changed any settings. I don't remember changing anything. I might have done something a little differently. They do have these like little like every like 8 layers there's like these imperfections, and I don't know if they're supposed to be there. I think they are actually, because I do see them in the software. I do see like every so many layers I see like a bump here, bump here, bump here. So apparently those are supposed to be there. But in general, these tree supports came out perfect. Like, they still come apart. You see how they come apart in these like nice little pieces, but they're not like overly strong, you know. So same thing here. Let's see. Okay, so we got a piece stuck to the side of the ship. Some of these you can aggressively rip them off, and others you can do it. So now, what's funny is the program that we're using over here is called a slicer. But the process of slicing is really more like you change the settings, then you click a button down here that says slice, and it generates, you know, the supports like the ones we're looking at now. And then you send it to your printer, and, you know, right now the printer is linked to the software. But to slice them, you really need to use 3D modeling software. And then you gotta, like, do, like, a bunch of, like, stuff that, you know, requires learning. And it's possible. I've done it before, but sometimes you'll slice up a model and it won't do what you want it to do at all. Like, you'll hit, like, a boundary point or something that just doesn't slice correctly, or you'll find that one part of the model is solid, another part of the model is hollow, and when you try to fill in the gaps, you get shapes that you did not plan on getting. So that is the real, you know, challenge there with slicing it up, although it's not off the table, because sometimes you can figure out a good place to slice it up. You can find places where, like, you can glue it together and it won't look like you took it apart, you know. So these tree supports came out really nice, and one thing I'm really glad to see is some of these overhangs. Not all of them. Now, the one in this is the new one, and this is the old one to your right. And you can see that it's a little bit smaller. you can also see that we have some significant overhangs here, but this one still came out better. It's still pretty solid, and it came out better and less messy than this side here. Wait, whoops, wrong side. So on this side here, it looks almost like, yeah, once again, the bigger one still came out looking nicer, but it's still a little sketchy over here, no doubt about it. We still have some sketchiness down here. So maybe the new settings for the support material will come out nicer. The back of it's pretty flat. You can actually see the where the support materials did their job, and this time around, I think it actually did a pretty good job. We're gonna try to gently pry this apart and see what happens. Now, I already kind of resigned that I probably am not going to get some of this internal material out. And it's not really a big issue if we leave the support material in there because, you know, what's the worst that can happen? Yeah, I should just leave that material in there. It's not hurting anybody. So we're going to leave that material in there. We got some stringiness here that we need to remove. So we're just going to gently... Now, one thing you'll notice is that we got to be careful when grinding this because we're going to get a lot of string pieces coming off. We're going to get a lot of strings that we don't really want to separate. So my effort to, you know, plane this down will probably not occur until I have the next half in front of me, because before I shave off any material, I want to see what does the other half look like. And we'll probably use actual sandpaper on it. So that should be fine for now. But yeah, I wouldn't even dare exploring slicing it into smaller pieces now. At least not this moment in time. Now, interestingly, I ripped this off, and that came off pretty nicely there, huh? That came looking pretty clean, surprisingly clean. I mean, I'm still not gonna count on that to be perfect every time. But I may be able to shove an X-Acto knife in there. Oh yeah, look at that. It came out pretty okay. Like, not too bad, you know? I mean, we can work with that. Now, I've had the temptation to put this over the stovetop to, like, you know, melt off any excess pieces. Not gonna do that this time because we saw how that worked out on the battleship. In fact, this piece here did not come out so well, but that's okay. We can shave off the bad parts. We're going to be reinforcing everything with brass rods anyway. If I do hit this with a hot knife, I'm going to only hit it like gently. I'm going to graze it with a hot knife, and only after we've taken off all the parts like that. See, that part came off. There's like a little dimple here that might be part of something, but we're going to take that off too. There we go. Got it off. We got a little piece here. Whoops. We're going to leave that piece there. But we're going to remove this piece here. Yeah, a little messing around there. We're going to be priming and painting it anyway. Oh, I forgot about this side. Yeah, and a lot of parts can definitely be modeled separately. So even if I couldn't slice this model up into quadrants or anything that would make it super easy, just separating individual parts like that and reprinting them, or even redesigning the part from scratch if you have a pretty decent idea of the dimensions, is totally doable. It's very attainable. It's not like some complex rigmarole. So that's definitely an option there. And so yeah, we got these supports here, and conventional concentric supports, and you saw that we had torn apart some tree supports that came off pretty neatly. We got part of a tree support here that definitely looks like a tree, right? And these are dynamic, they're flexible, they're easy to remove. We have that X pattern over here. You can see that waffle pattern here and here. That's the pattern I was talking about before. So parts of the model are supposed to rest on top of that. I don't remember, where did my ship go? I lost my ship. Someone call the shipyard, let them know. Here it is. It's almost gonna fall. Oh, don't fall. So I'm trying to see if I can figure out where this was. Was this over here? This looks like it was down here at one point. So that might be why it came out as decently as it did. Yeah, I don't remember what went where. Oh, wait, no, there's a big circular tree support on the bottom. Well, it doesn't matter. It worked out, mostly worked out. And so if this mostly worked out, I'm thinking that maybe I don't need to be going wild with the settings over here, like in particular, like having these hollow supports, or these rigidly not hollow, the opposite, solid supports. So if we go here, we got finishes the cylinder, does the next one. See, there's too much of a gap. No wonder that support was sagging. There's way too much of a gap. It's literally starting printing where this white dot is, I think. So it's starting to print in thin air, and it's working its way towards the center. That works much better when you have support material. So if it's got support material next to it and it starts printing, also has layers beneath it. So anytime you have a layer below your current layer, that's always going to help too, right? So over here we had the blue stuff. There we go. Look, blue stuff followed by a white thing right there. So that probably helped that particular cylinder in the middle come out. Whereas the cylinder over here didn't really have a whole lot of help at all. Like it had like the blue stuff, blank, 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 go. So see, there's like 2 layers of nothing before it starts building this up. So there's really no foundation for the successive layers above that. I wonder if kit bashers. I wonder if kit bashers would buy a bag of those tree supports. Well, it's interesting. Like the tree supports themselves aren't even like, aren't even a like, what do you call it? A model. You could, like, these are auto generated. Like literally, like I can get a different set of tree supports just by changing the numbers here right now. See, now it wants me to regenerate. So I got to click on slice. That's the button down here. And it's going to take a few seconds before it generates more. In fact, I just paused my video encoding. There we go. And now we're going to resume it. And, so we got different patterns kind of here now. They're a little more exotic looking because I changed the angle that they support. Or they have different angle settings for the tree branches. But they are pretty cool looking. And I mean, if I wanted to print a forest or something generic like that, it would be interesting to utilize the same thing, the same method or whatever that is to generate them. And this particular ship here, okay, that one's 130% in height, yeah. I think that was the maximum height you can do on my 3D printer before it bumps into the ceiling. So yeah, this light blue here, it still did a good job. So it's generating. See, that part looked almost okay. So, now I got to decide what I want to print next. I'm thinking about just going right into printing another one of these because I paid $35 for the download, so I might as well print it again and see if it comes out better with slightly different settings. I think these more aggressive tree support settings could end up really bad. or really well. We could keep the 40-degree angle, and then we can go down here and tell it different things. So support overhang angle, or tree branch diameter, tree branch distance, collision resolution. I think I've attempted to lower that, but we get mixed results there. The zigzag pattern is the internal pattern we used. Support density, we're currently at 20%. We might be able to go lower than 20%. Support line distance, 4 millimeters. So, you know, we might do better, but where I'm curious is support interface thickness. This is the part that matters, or support roof thickness. So I think what's happening is this part is too thick. So what I would do is I would make this maybe like a 0.4. But it looks like the program doesn't like that at all. See, I'm getting this yellow highlight here. I don't know what that's about. So maybe if I go back to 0.8. So can we do that? Can we do a support interface thickness of 0.4? Well, actually, no. We want it to be 0.8, I think. This is the part that gets me confused. Okay, so basically if I make this number too low, it might cause the support to become part of the model. But, you know, I'm going to take that risk anyway and see what we generate. Okay, so once again, progress bar is at 50%. I used to run this on my old computer. I still run this on my old computer, but it runs much faster on this computer. So I may just stop running it on my old computer, because sometimes it wouldn't even finish generating the parts. It would just kind of wig out the computer. So this time you can see I lowered the density of the inside of the tree. So now these rectangles are more widely spaced. But more importantly, I'm more concerned about what's going on here. Okay, so we got X pattern, right? In fact, let's go to the bottom. 1, 2, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. So I was hoping to see improvement on this left side here, but I'm going to leave that alone. If it thinks it's fine, it thinks it's fine. Now on this right side, there's a risk that the model might get stuck to the support, the support material. Now that part I find interesting. It's like creating an overhang, and it's cutting it real close. And I don't even know what part that is. I think it's this side here. So it's that little piece that was hanging from the bottom that came out somewhat imperfect. I do see some support material embedded in there. So the question is, can I like change something here? The thickness of the interface of the support where it touches the model on the top or bottom. Okay, so let's see. We did support interface resolution, and we have different patterns that can be used for that. Minimum support interface area. Minimum area size for support interface polygons. Polygons which have a smaller than this value will be printed as normal supports. So 0.8 millimeter. I think each layer is like 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8. Yeah. So that's what we're going there. No doubt, Steven. It was good seeing you. Thank you very much for joining. I'll be wrapping this up anyway. It's been a delight, and you have a great evening and a good night's sleep. So getting back on topic. Yeah, we got this like gap here. And That's the only thing I'd want to address is the gap, because I mean, I'm not crazy about the gap. I feel like that could be done better, you know? In fact, down here, this part, okay, this part is fine. The left side is questionable, but the right side is fine. This little hangy bit came out okay, and it should come out better based on this here, assuming that the interface doesn't rip the model off. This one might come out looking okay. I feel like we could improve that somehow. Well, I'm going to leave it alone, but most important thing to me at this point is making sure I don't waste a bunch of material. So I think these zigzag lines are fine, but I do think that they may be a bit of an encumbrance to us when removing material. Well, the printer just finished printing, which means that we got two options here. If I don't let the printer bed cool down, it might allow me to, you know, run the next print without any issue. But more likely, we want it to cool down because it's going to be easier to remove the model from the printer bed if it cools down. So I'm going to let the printer bed cool down, but I'm going to let the nozzle stay hot because I figured that'll speed it up when I'm ready to start printing. Now, what do we want to print? Well, probably we're going to print the ship we're currently looking at. So we're going to literally start printing from this computer here and then let the Octopi take over. I would still much prefer to have, you know, like a better gun port on this ship. Because this model, the gun ports look pretty good, right? But then when you look at the actual, you know, print or the simulated print, you can see what goes wrong there. Maybe it works better on a resin printer. I don't know. But it's not so great on this one here. So no big deal there. Just something worth noting. And beyond that, I just want to show the data list. I gotta still paint it, but you know, it needs a little bit of sanding and all of that love. But real quick, gotta get the dust off my drawing tablet. Now I should use sandpaper on here. Yeah, I'm like 90% sure that it's crooked. And I'm like, if I try to rip it apart, I might literally rip the ship in half. So I'm probably gonna leave it. just doing a little light sanding on there using a file. And, well, you know, it comes apart a little bit. Now, this is like a sanding stick, but I think the different colors, there's different colors in the pack, might signify different grit, but they're not labeled clearly, so we're just gonna sand it down and see what happens. I should definitely find a properly sized piece of sandpaper and use that instead of trying to sand this entire thing with a stick. I think it'll be fine for now because I'm only trying to do edges anyway. I am Iron Man. Du-du-du-du-du-du-du-du. So there's like a little manifold or intake here. That looks like, yeah, it looks like the material doesn't belong in there. It's like these look like vents that have material wedged inside of them. I think it's because the material that's wedged inside isn't supposed to be there. So let's get a look at the model on the computer screen, because I want to see what those vents look like on here. Oh wait, those are on the back side of the ship. Well, we're not going to do those right now then. We could do a quick, whoops, I forgot to switch my screen. Yeah, but I was just doing a little side test here. But what we want to do is we also want to see what's the maximum size. So we know 180% doesn't fit on my printer. 130% is darned near my upper limit. So that's probably the size I would keep it at. I wouldn't really need to go above 130%. But as you can see, we do have a few millimeters left. So if we look at the measurement, that is 235 millimeters. So in fact, I would argue that is the upper limit of my printer's maximum, you know, printing area. I'd probably bring it down to 128. And let's see here if we can get an answer here. End of 3v2 max height. 250. That's not bad. 250 millimeter is not bad. So apparently I can go higher. I can go up to 135% on both of these bits here. Okay, so that would be 135 for the front, 135 for this. Now, things do get a little sketchy when you start printing that large. A lot of things can go wrong. Like, if you have a power outage in the middle of the print, that's it. All bets are off, you know? Like, it's just like, you know, it's over. So this like, not fun when that happens. But you know, I think we're in pretty good shape there. Now, in the meantime, I want to take a look at this this pen thing, right? I mean, I still want a working drawing tablet. So we're gonna turn off Windows Ink mode, which is currently off, and we're gonna undo. Damn it! I keep doing it. Okay, there we go. We got the pen. We got it on the screen. Okay, so this is what I would expect it to do. Now, this is an old version of Photoshop, so I don't expect it to really, you know, do anything differently than a normal mouse. But I wish I could set up the opacity a different way, because I mean, I'm not really getting like any of that cool, you know, pen stroke action that you would normally get, or what I would expect to get out of this. Now, it is possible that I'm just doing it wrong, with different settings. But that's something that I need to research, is like, do I need a different version of Photoshop? I mean, I do. This is an old version. But aside from that, like, what is required? What else is required in order to, you have varying pressure sensitivities. Now we could also try mouse mode, which I don't know why that would be helpful. That's interesting. In mouse mode, it creates shading of that level of texture, but in this mode, yeah, I don't really see a difference. Okay, so we got, yeah, if I pressed hard or not. In fact, let's Google that real quick while we're here. Let's see here. Shape brush dynamics. Enable jitter. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I hate when that happens. Okay, so anyway, we got that. Wait, what does that say? Control pen pressure requires the use of pressure sensitive tablet. Well, I got a pressure sensitive tablet, but it is possible that this document, whoops. I mean, I installed this software after, before, when Photoshop was already opened. Uh-oh. What happened to... I think I lost Rumble. I don't know if there's a limit to how long I could run a stream on Rumble, but Rumble has concluded this streaming thing. Like, it says 3 people are watching now. Okay, it's still live. I don't know. I'm looking at Restream, and it says I'm not streaming right now, but looks like you are because it says 3 people are watching right now. Well, I want to thank you for watching, and if you're signed in, please consider hitting that like button. Although I don't blame you if you're finding this to be boring. Oh, my print is done. I understand, but real quick now we want to go back to testing the brush strokes. Like, how do I get this to behave like... Oh, I think it's starting to do what it's supposed to do. Okay, we're getting there. So we can do this one of 2 ways. We can, largen up. Okay, that's starting to look more like what I would expect. So if I hit it soft. Okay, so it seems to be doing what I expected to do now. I think we're getting progress. I don't know if this is like the most fluidic way to do it, but it works, right? We have our levels of opacity. Now we got different modes. We can use airbrush mode. we can also go back here and adjust our brush dynamics. So we can do this thing called pen jitter, which seems to like just randomize the size of the dots that you're drawing. I can see where it might help with realism, but in this particular instance with this particular brush size, it does not. Maybe on a smaller brush. Whoops, that might make it more realistic looking. But I'm not crazy about the jitter. Wait, it disappeared. Okay, let's try that again. Let's make sure it's on. I think it changed the setting when I switched brushes. There we go. See the rough line? That's pen jitter, which might be desirable sometimes, but on a larger brush, I don't think it is. And then you got minimum diameter, which we can keep it real low, which, you know, I think becomes more noticeable on like a medium-sized brush like this one here. See, I can hold it real soft. So you might decide that you want to hold it softly, but you want the minimum size to be something larger than what we're looking at here. But I say, okay, this is progress. This is working more like the way I would expect it to work. You know, I think I can live with this. I think I can, you know, whoops. I'm sure someone who knows what they're doing. Oh, come on. Photoshop. There we go. I think someone who... A motherfucking son of a bitch. Alright, anyway. Yeah, I think someone who knows what they're doing with this might have a better way of doing what I'm doing here. Oh, and that's worth noting is, maybe it's because I'm using an ancient version of Photoshop, but when the screen refreshes, it, like, literally will stop my pen strokes in their tracks. See right there? See that? See how the screen flickered like that? Now notice I'm not drawing anymore until I let go. So it might be like, it might take a few seconds for that to kick in. It might happen on some kind of interval. Okay, so it looks like if I let go of the tablet once in a while, it doesn't do it. It doesn't do that refresh thing. But if I do it like a long time like I'm doing now, it does it. So not a big deal. It's just something to be aware of. Because I can see that being really annoying. So luckily when we draw and write naturally, we usually don't leave the pencil down for a long time anyway, right? Although if I'm trying to do an artful signature, I might end up doing that, right? And are we still getting pen jitter, or do I just hold it crookedly? Now, can we use this for coloring something? Well, sure, we could do a little experimental color, I guess, right? So maybe we want to do like a softer textured brush of a larger size than what we're looking at now. Whoops, too big. Now I don't know why I got a crosshair instead of a circular brush. Doesn't really matter. It's just something that I find interesting there. Now, can we do oil painting of a sort? Perhaps, right? We could probably do like... In fact, I think that the wheel here lets us... Nah, the wheel doesn't do anything. Okay. So, I mean, that should give us a yellow, right? If we mix these two colors together. I don't know if I'm doing it correctly. So that's one thing like that I have a complaint about Photoshop is how it does this multicolor thing. I don't know if it's doing this correctly. It could be that my opacity and flow are way too high. Maybe I gotta lower those a bit. We can even put on airbrush mode. Airbrush mode, you can see it's literally like an airbrush. That's kind of cool. Okay, that's starting to look a bit like yellow, I guess. But yeah, anyway, bottom line is I think this is already working better than